Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Bear with me. I lost my voice doing yard work this week. You think that allergies and sinuses, I used to think that stuff only affects old people. You had to have always had it. I was wrong. I cut all that grass and immediately, I lost my voice. Been hoarse ever since. Voice is coming back some, so now I can record. Anyway, somebody left a comment on a PTSD video stating this is something people really don't talk about. Something along these lines. It's hard to integrate back into society. People feel safer when locked up. I paraphrase, so it wasn't word for word. Got me to thinking the whole integration back into society. Going in prison, living a certain way for so long, living by certain rules, laws, politics, jailhouse rules, prison rules, the code of conduct, only to be released back into the real world. But none of that stuff matters anymore. None of that stuff flies anymore. You get to argue with somebody, that's just what it is. Chances are they're not going to go get a shank and come stab you. If you owe somebody money, depending on who you're dealing with, most times it's not going to get violent. You don't have to worry about the power company, if you're getting behind on your power, showing up to your house with a knife and trying to stab you. Going into a place like prison or jail, you're going to have to reconstruct the entire way you think. You're going to become somebody that you may not know you were capable of being. And then, Lord willing, you're released one day, you come back out into society, you got to find a way to be you again and to stop being the person that you had become for so many years. There are things you're going to do on a day-to-day that come from doing time in prison. You're going to handle certain situations a certain way because that's all you know. Integrating back into society after being incarcerated is not an easy thing to do. It was not easy for me. And this is going to sound crazy. July 10th will now make 8 years I've been home. 8 years I've been free. And I still struggle with certain things day to day. We do all that. I have a whole lot to update y'all on. A lot has changed in my life since the last video that I need to get some advice on and speak to y'all about. But that's today's video. Integrating back into society after being locked up. How do you deal with a loved one that's done time? I'm going to answer a lot of questions for people that have loved ones that don't understand what it is they go through day to day or why they act the way they act. You know how to seen it. You know how to live it. So, let's relive it. All right, how do I even start this? And it's going to take a couple minutes, but y'all need to listen to this, man. I now have another kid. It's not my kid. Before you get to thinking, I knew he had a bunch of kids floating around. You was out there smutting yourself, wasn't you, Jay? Had a hot boy summer way back in the day. Nah, it's not my kid. I don't have a lot of family. So I'm always talking about moving. You'll constantly hear me talking about moving. And part of me wants to move because I feel like if I'm further away, then it'll make sense on why my family doesn't pick up the phone and call me or come see me or show any concern for me. I honestly feel like people cared about me more and had more to do with me when I was locked up. I know it sounds sad, but it's the truth. I don't live far from my family members. I'm just a phone call away, and it's almost as if me doing right in life has turned people against me. I hear this all the time. Well, you judge people or you think you're better than people. I don't judge anybody. I don't gossip. I'm not chismoso. I don't do all that. I'm not a gossiper. I'm not the one that talks behind people's back. Do I think I'm better than people? I am better than some people in this world. You can't convince me otherwise. A lot of y'all are better than some people in this world. You can't tell me I'm not better than a sex offender. You can't. I will never accept it. You cannot tell me that I'm not better than some man who beats his children and is violent towards his children. I'm a great father. I am a better person, a human being than him. But when it comes to my family, I don't think I'm better than anybody because none of them fall in that category. My wife, she sees that it really hurts me. It bothers me a lot that people just don't have anything to do with me. So she will reach out to whoever she can in hopes of getting somebody around, not only just for my sake, for a 4-year-old little boy Noah's sake. He doesn't know any of his cousins. He doesn't, he's got Abby and Austin, which are his cousins. He knows them pretty well. I've made sure that they've been a part of his life since I came home. They've stayed hundreds of nights with us, gone to the beach with us. I keep them close by. They're my family. My baby sister, me and her, we're trying to get closer. We had a good conversation this week. I have another sister that lives out in Baltimore that I won't even speak on her. We'll just leave that for what it is. I have nothing good to say, so I'm not going to say anything. I got a brother, did an interview with him. I'm not going to speak on him. I have nothing good to say, so I'm not going to say anything. So she reaches out to some family members, no brothers, no sisters, no nothing like that, and invites them over Friday. They come over, and they've got this beautiful little 3-year-old girl. My son and her play all night long. He's got like a little one of those plastic, Fisher-Price clubhouses outside. I take it, I hang a lamp in it, I do all these different things for the kids so they can go out there and play. And we're just out back talking, catching up on old times, right? I go in the living room, lay down, watch a movie, I go to sleep. I get up the next day, boom, the end. Monday. I'm at work. I get a call being told I need to come home. I'm at work. I can't come home. What's going on? CPS, that's Child Protective Services for y'all that don't know, and the police department are on the way to our house. Puts me in panic mode. Why would the cops be on the way to my house? Why would Child Protective Services be on the way to my house? I provide a great life. All my kids are safe. There's no type of anything wrong. What's going on? No, it's not you, Jay. It's nothing we've done. This is got to do with the little girl that was at the house. Now, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I don't know any of the details. I don't know any of the facts. I'd never been to these people's house. I'd never seen where they lived. I know nothing about none of that. My wife pulls up and a car pulls up with the logo on it, CPS car, Child Protective Services, and a cop car pulls up with 2 cops in it. And they get out. My wife's there. She had just pulled up as well. And this little girl, this petite little 3-year-old girl, beautiful little girl, curly hair, gets out the back seat of the social worker's car and comes running up the driveway. My son runs up and hugs her. Hey, what are you doing? They want to see our house. They won't tell me anything that's going on yet. They want to see the house, check my house out, make sure that we have room for another kid, because by now I know that we're taking this kid in. And I'm like, sure. I have nothing to hide. So I give Child Protective Services and the police a tour of my house. The cops took one look at my house and was like, wow, this is a big difference from where we just came from. Wow. I show them every room. I open every door. Dude opened my hat room, was like, damn, the cop did. He was like, welcome to Lids. Like, man, you got a lot of hats. You got to do the hats. Wife tells him we need to go grocery shopping. We have our refrigerator's packed full. Grocery shopping to her means we need a couple of things. They open the fridge and they're like, you need to go grocery shopping. I'm like, yeah, I know. Let me show you the pantry. So I open the pantry, show them the pantry's full. You have a beautiful house. I said, we have a guest room also that nobody sleeps in. It's a guest room in case we have a guest. That's where the little girl would be. That would be her room. We go back and they commence to telling me that they got a call. The mother's sister called CPS saying that people were doing drugs, like crack, in front of the little girl. The little girl was being abused. All these different things are being said, which I don't know if it's true or not. That is their job to do it. I just know that they're about to put this little girl in foster care. The little girl's father is currently in jail. He's been in jail for a while. Gets out in a few months from now. I'm not going to watch no 3-year-old child go into the system. And crazy enough, had it not even been someone related to me, had the cops or CPS come knocking on my door with a complete stranger's child and said, we're about to put this 3-year-old into the system, I would have taken the child in. That's just who I am. So I agree. Yes, she can come stay here. She can live here for as long as she needs. Just so y'all know, I'm not trying to take nobody's child. I want all kids to be with their parents, but I want all kids to be safe. This kid y'all are saying is not in a safe environment. Y'all are saying this little 3-year-old girl is sleeping on a kitchen floor, that the place they're staying is infested with bed bugs. It's a trailer. There's way too many people living there as it is, and that this little kid has to sleep on a kitchen floor. It's a sad ordeal. I have to do the paperwork. My wife has to do the paperwork. You ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. What have you been convicted of? Well, I'll just give you the most recent and the most serious stuff, which goes back 2004, 2005. Robbery, malicious wounding. They kind of look at me. The cops look at me. I said, I know what y'all are thinking. That's not who I am. I was just, 17 years ago. I made my mistakes, and I'm a much better person because of them, and that's just not who I am anymore. Everything works out. Little girl's been with us now 3 days. We had to go buy her all new clothes, a whole new wardrobe, because you can't bring things into your house that came from a house with bed bugs, because bed bugs travel and it will infest our house. So we threw all her clothes out. My wife went shopping, bought her a whole new wardrobe, and she's doing really well. But I just wanted to share that with y'all. I just like that. I have a 4-year-old. I have my 19-year-old. I've got this 3-year-old tiny little girl now that lives with us. I don't know how long she's going to be with us. They took the mother and drug tested her, and it's just a whole lot of stuff going on, man. I got that woman's family members texting me yesterday trying to drag me in the middle of all this he said, she said drama. I said, I don't do this, man, and I'm not going to do it. I was contacted about a 3-year-old that had nowhere to go, that was getting ready to be taken into child services and put into the system, and I stepped up and did the right thing. Missed me with all the bullshit and all the drama and what this person's saying and what that person's saying, all the paranoid delusional bullshit. I have nothing to do with nothing. I was at work. These people contacted us because y'all gave them our number and said, before y'all take her there, see if they'll take them. That's what I got going on. Just wanted to share that with y'all, get y'all's input on what y'all think, man. I want to see the child with the parents. I want to see the man come home from prison, do right, and get his child and be a father. I want to see the mother go out, get a job, be successful, stop the drug use, and put her children first. But I can't make people do that. But what I can do is ensure that a little innocent child doesn't fall victim to somebody else's selfishness. With all that being said, let's get into this video. I know that took a long time. I want to say thank you to everybody that stuck around through that. I felt that was something I needed to share with you all. We need more people that are willing to step up, help the children, and help other people in life. So I've talked in the past about habits you bring home from prison. Come home, you're still wearing your shower shoes in the shower. You're doing courtesy flushes when you're on the toilet. You don't spit in the sink. There's a lot of habits that are hard to break once you come home. What I haven't talked about is the long-lasting effects that prison has on a person once they're released. Life after prison, reintegrating into society, and the things that we do that other people around us don't understand why we're doing them. They see us do it, and it's like, the hell's wrong with this dude? I get a lot of comments. A lot of viewers will email me with questions about their spouse, about their husband, about their wife, and things that are going on. They look to me to try to help them better understand their loved one that just came home. I had a lady hit me up recently, probably within the last month, that was speaking on the fact that anytime her and her husband get into an argument, and she had been married to this man prior to him going to prison. He did 5 years. She stuck by his side. She was loyal. Hey, salute to you. You're a real one. She stuck by his side. He comes home. She said, Jay, he is not the same. Let me explain this to you. You are not the same. People that go to war and see bad things happen, deal with crazy things, they come home, they're not the same. These things will forever change you. It gets better over time, but when you first return, you're still, part of you is still there. And you've brought home who you've become. She said, I was with my husband prior to him getting locked up. He did 5 years. He's home and he's not the same. She went on to say that anytime we argue, there comes a point in the argument where he'll give me this look that puts the fear of God in me. She's like, not once has he ever been violent toward me. Not once has he ever said anything to insinuate that he's about to get violent. She's like, but he has this look in his eyes and in his face the moment he stops talking and will no longer argue with me. That scares me. That puts fear in me. I've never seen this look in this man's eyes before. What is this? Let me break that down. I know exactly what he's dealing with. I've been there. There is a reason for what you're seeing. Now, I know some guys that say they did time, they never had any violent altercations, they never dealt with anything like that. That's what's up. I also know guys that did a weekend, and in that weekend they seen something violent happen. Did a month, in that month they seen something violent happen. But the longer you spend incarcerated, the more you're going to see, the more you're going to be subjected to, and the more it's going to affect you. Arguing is not something that's going to be done on a regular basis in prison. People are like females in a sense that they'll bicker and go back and forth. But when it comes to arguing, most arguments lead to fights. And prior to that first fight, prior to the first time somebody reaches out and boom, punches you in your shit, you thought it was okay to argue. You thought y'all were having a debate. Everything was cool. You didn't know you were messing with a seasoned vet and somebody that would hurt you. And the next thing you know, that's exactly what's happened. Somebody has hurt you. Guys come home with that mindset. I came home with that mindset. To this very day, I'm not a very good arguer. I'm not good at communicating at the moment that something turns into an argument. Men that are incarcerated, everything is about who's toughest, who will fight, who does this, who does that. What they're not going to do is stand around and argue with you all day. At the moment that that happens, the clock starts ticking until somebody's going to end up hurt. You're either going to end up in a fight right then and there. It's going to turn into something where y'all go in the cell. Like I said, a lot of times it just pops off right then and there. You want to try to argue with somebody, even if you're right, you're making somebody look stupid, trying to get your point across. Boom, next thing you know, you punched all up in your shit. Men will come home from prison. Women will want to argue. You know how women are at times. No disrespect to the ladies out there, but y'all know how y'all get. And they want to get that point across. So they keep at it. They keep at it. They keep at it. It's not what convicts do. Convict's not going to argue with you. He's going to hear you out. And at the moment he sees that you're not going to shut your mouth, he's going to put his fist in it. This lady arguing with her husband, all that's doing is bringing up familiar feelings. For him, he has become accustomed to fighting. He's become accustomed to the moment he opens his mouth to put his 2 cents in, he's become accustomed to balling his fist up. She's under the assumption that they can have these debates and arguments and she can raise her voice and say whatever she wants to say, and that she's just talking to the average man. When in reality, she's dealing with somebody that, where he came from, that's not the world he lives in. The facial expressions she's seeing, the body language, the mannerisms, all that is associated, I've seen it, I'm guilty of it, with violence. Me and you get to arguing, I'm going to start to peep how you move. I'm going to start to look at you. I'm going to look at the placement of your feet, your shoulders, your hands, how you're breathing, your facial expressions. All of that a lot of time they're key indicators into what I can expect and what's to come next. So for the lady that had that comment, what you're seeing is him struggling with his old self. Him standing there trying to understand that this is not a fight. This is not going to become physical. And coming to terms with the fact that he can argue without it being that. I'm going to give y'all a quick story, quick as I can. The first fight I got into when I got out, I didn't come home looking for fights, but I did have a bad temper. I did bring a lot of my prison mentality home with me. Just the facts. We have a family member, and due to what happened, I'm just going to leave, certain relationships and who they are out of this. But we had a family member one night call us. She says, he stole my car. He's been out all night getting high. He just got back. I confronted him about it. He put his hands on me. He's downstairs, and I'm scared to go down there, and he won't give me my keys. When my wife gets his phone call, we are out at the grocery store. I have my youngest son wasn't born at the time, so I've got my teenage son with me. I've got my nephew Dylan, who I had taken custody of at the time. Pretty much very similar situation to what's going on with the little girl I have now. So they were in the car with me. My wife, my nephew, and my oldest son. She's on speakerphone. I hear the whole thing take place. Please have Jay come over. I'm scared. I'm afraid he's going to hit me again. I want my keys. He won't give me my keys. Part of me knew prior to going there this was going to turn into a fight. Couldn't convince me otherwise now that I look back on it. We drove. We weren't far from where she was at. We drove to the house, and they stayed with my cousin. And my cousin, they had this beautiful house with a full furnished basement, pool table, fireplace, guest rooms, bathrooms, all that was on the lower level, the garage. And these people were renting out this room. When we pull up, I tell my wife and I tell the boys, I said, lock the doors and stay in the car. No matter what happens, stay in the car. The girl comes walking up to the car. I roll down the window. I said, what's going on? She tells me everything that I just told y'all, everything that she told my wife. She got visible marks on her. He's crazy. He's been getting high all night. I ain't talking about no smoking, no weed or nothing like that. I said, where's he at? He's downstairs in the bed watching TV. Won't give me my keys. He's crazy. I said, all right, stay up here with them. I go down there. I go in, he kicked back on the bed with his feet up. This was over 7 years ago, almost 8 years now. Walk in, I said, what's up with you? Hey, what's up? Why are you putting your hands on the girl, man? You can't be putting your hands on a female, dog. You got game messed up, man. You're foul for that. Man, I ain't trying to hear all that. Huh. All right. Where's her keys at? What keys? The keys to the car you stole that belongs to her that she wants back. Give me the keys. He jumps up out the bed. This all goes back to mannerisms, body language, and why people react the way they react. He jumps up out the bed. The moment he does that, I know what's coming next. We're getting ready to fight. He's standing there, and I do exactly what I told y'all. I start checking for everything I know that leads to a fight. I look at the placement of his feet. I look to see if his hands are balled up. I look which way his shoulders are positioned, his facial expressions, the tone of his voice. All that is setting the tone to where we're about to take it, right? So I put my hands up. Hey, I didn't come here to fight, man. I don't want to fight with you. That's not why I'm here. You can't be putting your hands on this girl. Give me the keys. Lay down, go to sleep, man. Leave it alone. Wake up tomorrow and y'all figure this out. But you need to give me those keys. We're standing face to face now. I look down and I see the first thing, aside from his body language, his face, all that, and him raising his voice to me. I'm steadily telling him I don't want to fight. I look down, I see his fists are balled up. He takes a couple steps forward. I think I took 2 steps back as he took 2 steps forward. Still got my hands up at this point. I said, look, man, I don't want to fight with you. I didn't come over here to fight with you. I'm trying to break this stuff up, you know, tell you what you shouldn't be doing, keep your dumb ass out of jail, and, you know, just right is right, wrong is wrong. He comes closer to me. I take 2 more steps back. I look down and I see his fists are clenched really tight. And in that moment, just raising his voice, he was saying something. For me, I know the fight is there. The fight is coming. The talking is over with. Fire! I rock off on him. Give him everything I got. Feed it to him. Boom! He staggers back. Spearing. Pick him up. Reverse suplex. There's an entertainment center sitting there. It's got these 3 glass tiers of, you know, different shelves with knickknacks, DVD player, pictures, flat screen TV on the top. I pick him up, reverse suplexing backwards. Boom, we go through the entertainment center and we go to rumbling. I'm on top of him and he's rumbling, he's fighting, throwing punches, hitting me. I'm in full out convict mode. I'm locked back up at this moment mentally. I'm doing exactly what I would have done had that situation, you know, appeared while I was locked up. Had I seen all the things I've seen as far as his body language goes, we're just going at it, right? Glass is everywhere. The glass is cutting my knees, it's cutting my elbows, it's all in my hands, it's all in the back of his head, his back, his legs. My cousin comes downstairs, screams my name, Jay! And she is like got her leg wedged in between us, trying to stop me. She is pretty much essentially just stuck her leg in between 2 pit bulls. I don't know that she's there. I don't know that her leg is in between us. I don't know that she's trying to stop this fight. I continue to swing. The cop one time. I love them undercover cars like you can't see them. In the course of her standing there, she gets all these bruises on her leg. No intentional, never did I intentionally hit her. I'm continuing to swing and her leg was in the mix. I don't know that it's there. Eventually, I come to, I hear her yelling my name, and it snaps me out of what's going on, right? So I stop, I get up. You destroyed the room. This is what she's telling me. She's got a beautiful house, and I'm sorry I did that to your house. I go upstairs, and I'm talking to her, and I'm explaining the whole situation. She had heard the argument going on downstairs prior to me getting there, but she didn't know everything that had happened. So I'm trying to explain to her, I didn't just come over here to destroy your house. I tried to stop this and interfere with what was going on, which in a convict's world you would have never done that. That's why I tell you, you mind your business or you end up in these situations. Sorry I broke your house. I've been upstairs now, better part of maybe 2 minutes talking to my cousin. My wife comes running through the front door. He's outside, he's punching the car windows. He thinks you're in the car. He's talking about get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. My son is in that car. My nephew is in that car. He just ran up and punched the window of the passenger side of the car where my wife was sitting, trying to shatter the window. He's hitting the window. I come running out the front door. He's still hitting the window. So I yell, "Yo, you looking for me?" Something along them lines, don't you know. He turns around, takes off straight in my direction. We go at it again. Right there in the front yard, we're rumbling. Just going at it. I get him to a point where I don't want to hurt him. I didn't come there to hurt him. But I'm very capable of hurting him really bad, right? I don't want to hurt him, so he comes at me. We dip low. I scoop, pick up, boom. Flip him, slam him on the ground. Hard ass dirt out front. And we go back to fighting. And I'm telling him as we're fighting, now I'm a little more conscious. I haven't completely lost it at this point. I'm telling him as we're fighting, I told you this ain't what you want to do. I do this. Like, I didn't want to fight with you, man. But I'm like telling him this as we're doing this. I'm like, look what you made me do to you. Look what you made me do to you. Look, is this what you wanted? This is what you wanted? And he's steadily doing everything he can to fight back. So I get tired of all that, and I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to beat his face in, break his face, do all this damage, split him all open. So while we're on the ground rumbling, I flip over, I get behind him, wrap my legs around him, and I, put him in the guillotine. I lock it in, I choke him out. At this point, I start to black out again. I'm really losing my cool. And I hear my cousin yelling, I'm calling the police, Jay. I'm calling the police. That registered very, very well for me. I heard that 100%. So I let him go. Had I not let him go, it was probably only another 5 seconds and he'd have been completely unconscious and I could have potentially, done brain damage. But I let him go. I get up and I leave. Nobody understood truly what I was feeling, what I was dealing with, or what I was going through in that moment. They didn't. People were mad at me for the days to come because of how much the room got messed up. And, my cousin and they have kids at the house as well. All the aggression I displayed, the level of violence that was just displayed, they're all just getting to know me for the first time in a very long time. I hadn't had many interactions with my cousin and them at this point, and they're good people. They live a good life. She owns a company, doing very well for herself. I'm proud of you, Angie. They didn't understand truly what was going on. And what was happening was that part of me that I tried to keep hidden from the world that grew while I was in prison, that became more of who I was while I was in prison. I struggled to keep that person in. I struggled not to fight, not to let little situations make me become that person. But in the moment of him standing there with his chest poked out, him breathing heavy, and his hands balled up, mentally I was reincarcerated. Mentally I was locked back up. Mentally I wasn't standing there looking at someone I knew. I was standing there facing somebody in a prison cell that wanted to hurt me. I was back locked up in an altercation, and I was doing what I knew to do. I know that probably makes me sound like a whole entire psycho, but that's the God's honest truth of what took place. I tried to explain to my wife afterwards that I'm not an arguer. I don't argue. I'm not going to argue. And when it comes to other men, if and when I see the first sign of aggression, I'm going to strike first. I'm going to do it first, and I'm going to do it the worst. Because my biggest fear is sitting there and letting someone else hurt me. I can't sit by while you punch me in my face, beat me up, knock my teeth out, knock me unconscious, get on top of me, and just, God knows you can do whatever you want to me after you knock me out. I've seen men get knocked out and then heinous things happen to them. I seen a man get knocked out one time, and then a dude sit on his chest, put him in an arm bar, and commence to breaking his arm after he was unconscious. I've seen guys get knocked out and dudes stomp their teeth out. So all that stays fresh in my head. So the moment I see the first signs of violence, all this stuff comes back to me. It comes flooding in. And the last thing I want is to let somebody else hurt me. So I go into defense mode, and I strike out, and I become the bad guy. I am not the biggest, toughest sumbitch walking the streets. I'm not. There are all types of people out here that I know for fact can kick my ass. But you're going to have to. The last thing you want to ever do is just not kick my ass and stand there and talk about it and do everything but put your hands on me. Because if you convince me that you're about to put your hands on me, I am going to react in a way that I have no control over. I like to think these days I have a lot more control over it. I know I have a lot more control over it. And I can say that because there has been situations that have taken place that I was able to walk away from. Be the bigger man. Not lash out and hit somebody. It took many, many years for me to find my way back to being who I was, the good part of who I was, and not who I had become. When you leave prison, prison leaves with you. When you leave war, the war leaves with you. These men that you see returning from Afghanistan and all these different places that these wars take place, for a lot of these men, the war is not over. It continues to take place. There is no glory in going to prison. In no way, shape, or form am I comparing myself to someone that fought for this country or that went to war for this country. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that on the side effects of the PTSD, the trauma, what you're subjected to, you being ready to go at any given time, you knowing when to strike, you knowing when something is about to happen, and what you do in those moments, it's very relatable to somebody that's been through active combat. I hear it all the time. My wife is a wife. Anybody that's married knows what wives do. They nag. They complain. They bitch. They argue. It's what wives do. Not all of you. I'm sure some of you are chill. Most wives, sometimes, at times, need an argument to know that, I don't know, I guess it makes them feel like somebody cares. Or to just prove they're right. Whatever the case may be. I hear this all the time. You suck at communicating. How do I suck at communicating? I get in front of this camera and everybody says I'm a great storyteller and the way I communicate through these videos is great, but it's not the same. I communicate just fine in a conversation. I do. I communicate just fine when I'm reliving it and I'm telling you about the past or I'm trying to take you down memory lane and paint a picture for you. Everything's fine. But at the moment that somebody starts to argue with me or is trying to push an opinion, a thought, a view down my throat and I don't believe it, or I'm in disagreement with whatever they're saying, I go into defense mode. No, I don't start fighting with my wife or become physical, but I understand the comment, the question the lady had as far as her husband's facial expressions. And the moments that I get to arguing, I do the same thing. My face changes. My body language changes. And my wife has actually looked at me and said, "What, are you about to hit me?" And my response is, "What? I would never hit you. What are you talking about?" She's like, "Look at you getting all worked up. Do you see yourself right now?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm not going to hit you. I would never hit you. Why did you just say that? Do you see yourself?" I'm not seeing what she's seeing. But after the lady made that comment, that question, I now understand what she was saying and why she was saying it. I am guilty of that. I am guilty of the moment confrontation shows up, an argument shows up, I go into defense mode. That is one of the many things that is hard to shake and break after all these years. But I try. Lord knows I try. If you are dealing with someone that has recently been released or may have been released a long time ago that did any substantial amount of time in prison or jail, someone that has been through traumatic things, especially men that won't talk about their time locked up, for them, they were victims of something in there. Or they witnessed something that shook them to their core that they don't want to share with the rest of the world. If you deal with someone like that, be mindful to what they have been through. Be mindful to what, they may be capable of, may have seen, may have witnessed, things they've heard. They may have no ill intent, no plans on doing anything wrong, but you see something else when you look in their eyes in those moments. Just remember that for a lot of us men, a lot of people, men, women, children across the world, just because you're no longer in the war doesn't mean that the war is over. For a lot of us, the war rages on every single day, right here in our heads. Now, please understand this before y'all get things twisted, misconstrued, taken out of context. My wife doesn't fear me. I've never given her any reason to fear me. So don't be like, "Oh, Jay's wife is scared of you." That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that in those moments that the ugly past rears its face, people don't always know what's going on with you up here. What I'm saying, and the point I'm trying to get across to you, is just be more aware. Take into mind when you see things that you're not used to seeing coming from someone you love, dig a little deeper into what you may actually be seeing. I got to thinking about this. This is something I'm going to do more of, something I want to do a lot more of. There are so many different things that you are going to bring home with you after incarceration, not habits. I'm not going to say habits. I'm going to say the mental aspect of the things that you never fully 100% unlearn, let go, learn behavior that others are going to notice that you don't even see. Big salute, man, to all the women that deal with the men that have these issues at hand. Like I said, going forward in the future, we're going to speak on this a whole lot more, because it's a lot more than just what we spoke on today that people deal with when it comes to having a loved one that did time. I can sit here right now off the top of my head and probably mention 25 other things that I've dealt with personally, that I deal with personally, and that I know people deal with when it comes to dealing with an ex-con. At the end of the day, we didn't all get locked up and say, hey, I want to experience this. Hey, this is something I want to go through. We didn't come home and say, hey, I want to latch onto this and make this a part of who I am. It's not what we do. But we are who we are because of what we've experienced, what we've seen, what we've gone through, the hard times in life, being backed into a corner, being incarcerated, away from loved ones, the lack of affection, the lack of love and understanding. The people around us at times turn us in to the people that we are. This is episode 1. Make notes now, because you're going to see more of these. This is episode 1 of what's to come. If you are one of those people that is with someone that's been locked up, these videos are going to be detrimental to you and your relationship. Things aren't always what they appear. Just because you see a crazy look in someone's eye, don't mean that they're crazy. Doesn't mean that they're about to attack you or that they're going to hurt you. It may just be them reliving something mentally, and then their face balls up. Because for you, it's just an everyday argument. But for them, this is a feeling that is very familiar, that they are struggling to deal with in the right way. And even if they're not struggling with how to deal with it, you still see it on their face. Because that is the face, that is the mask you put on in those moments. That's what it is. It's a mask that comes with the violence. Now, the violence may not be there, but the mask is. Stay tuned for the live tonight. Start doing a lot more lives. Please take into consideration, I've done lives in the past, but they are usually done from my phone. With the computer setup, I have a three screen split system. I am learning. I'm not all super tech savvy or suave, whatever you want to call it. I'm learning. The first video, I was getting bad Wi-Fi signal. So the computer was not processing things the way it should. The video lagged. I hated that. I'm big on my finished product. My brand, J. Williams Let's Live Life as a whole. It disturbed me that the video was so lagged the way it was. A lot of good messages, a lot of good conversations I had with people and questions that some of it got lagged out. But please still check that out. With last night's video, I have several different setups inside my studio. Different backdrops. And I have several different cameras hooked up. With last night's video, the video quality was great, but the recording, the sound was being recorded from a secondary camera, so it came off as a little bit muffled. I appreciate y'all sticking around for that. There will be no second, third, fourth camera hooked up. Everything will be as it should be. I love the lives. I love interacting with y'all. I love getting further and further and further away from the prison genre and being able to just kick it and talk with y'all, laugh, joke, share experiences, answer questions. That is something I enjoy, is the interaction that we all have together. Being able to take what might have been a crappy day for you and make you smile. As you see, I'm a whole entire dad, 100%. My son will run up in there, boom, kick the door in and run up in there like the SWAT team, The moment he finds out I got that camera running. Y'all saw little Nico last night. He is doing great. That dude, like I told y'all, is a whole entire piss machine. All he knows is eat and pee. Stay tuned for the live tonight. Anyways, as y'all know, it is Friday. That means it is payday, payday, payday. Gotta get this money. Gotta get the guys paid. Because once again, it is Friday, Friday, Friday. Y'all see this? I am everywhere. I'm a busy man. But anyways, these jails, detention centers, these prisons, these facilities, they're all just crazy worlds inside of a already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams, Let's Live Life. And to all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. And y'all know how we do. Salute.